morning.
I would like to turn the meeting proceedings over to our invocator, Nancy Ferry.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. You have a unique message to deliver, a unique song to sing, a unique act of love to bestow. This message, this song, and this act of love have been entrusted exclusively to the one and only you. Let's have a wonderful meeting today and listen for everyone's message that they have to deliver.
Amen.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, we're in. Remind everybody to mute their mics for the pledge. And I will lead the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I hope you all enjoyed your Thanksgiving. I know it was a little weird this year, but I hope you guys were able to enjoy a very festive Thanksgiving. Are there any announcements this morning?
Yes, Eric, I have one. I don't know if you have opened up the new Toastmaster electronic magazine, but one of our very own, Jen Zappa, is on the cover with her aunt, and she has a little article in there too. So definitely open that up and take a look. A round of applause. Maybe the third time she's been in there. Kudos.
All right.
We have a cover girl in our midst then, huh?
So disappointed that they aren't doing like actual magazines. Like, why does it have to be virtual when I'm on the cover?
It's true. We'll all just print it out, make you feel better.
That would be great. Thanks.
With an autograph. I would like to, yes, Tom.
Eric, I was waving at you there. We had a meeting yesterday of the DECA program. They're continuing, even though there are some circumstances at school that make it a little bit more difficult. But the program is progressing nicely. Everything is going well. The Toastmaster was outstanding yesterday. Everything went smooth, all of the introductions, the pass-offs, and that sort of thing. The only thing we're working on now is getting our speakers. They did icebreakers, and we're trying to get our speakers to speak for a full 5 to 7 minutes, somewhere in there. So that's what we're going to be doing through the rest of December, but they're coming along nicely. They seem to be enjoying the program. No one is backed out. You know, they're all showing up for the meeting and doing their jobs. So I'm quite pleased with it. Jill is doing a nice job there along with Kristen. So it's good.
That's
program.
awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Tom. And is that Wednesday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you said? All right, perfect. Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome David Jones from Quinn City. Good morning, David.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you. Are there any other announcements? In about 2 weeks, we'll have our holiday party. And Kate, do you want to bring any details with that?
Thanks, Eric. I did email that we will have the holiday party that we annually celebrate together the week before the Christmas holiday. So that's in 2 weeks, like Eric said. We thought because we've been getting about 20, 25 people on, everybody could have up to 2 minutes to share anything in this virtual aspect. So if you'd like to share a video, if you'd like to share a blessing, a poem, something musical, anything that we typically would have done, please do that. And then at the end of the meeting, maybe we'll talk about the Christmas cookie exchange. So you can move on.
How to do that.
How to do that in a COVID year. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Kate. Well, we'll save more final announcements at the end. And now I'd like to turn things over to our Toastmaster of the day, Tracy Farrell.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. And it's good to be back after our Thanksgiving season. And so now we're into the Christmas season. And we all kind of know this year's going to be a little bit different with COVID hanging over our heads. And we all have to remember that throughout the pandemic, we all learned to kind of slow down and realize what's really important in our lives. First of all, we had to stay at home. We had no place to go. There were shortages of all types of items and supplies, from our food to toilet paper and now building materials. So we really have to look and see what's important to us. And all these items, as we're home, kind of collided into the perfect storm of shopping local. So I'm going to go over our job holders now, but throughout the meeting, I'm going to talk about some of the benefits of shopping local. Our first job holder today is Samir. And Samir, can you tell us your job as word master and introduce the word of the day?
Sure. The word master selects and then explains a word that usually everyone in the group then tries to incorporate into their speaking roles. Today's word is illustrious. It means notably or brilliantly outstanding because of dignity or achievements or actions. Synonym of it is eminent. So today's word of the day is illustrious. Thank you, Ms. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Samir. And if you can, please use illustrious throughout the meeting when you're chosen to speak. Our master today is Jackie Kenny, and I thought I saw everybody, but I don't see Jackie here today.
Oh, no,
We will-
master? I
I
could
know.
volunteer
and
for that, Kate. Or Tracy, I
You
could
are
volunteer.
nominated.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Tom, you're our master. Can you tell us your job today?
Why, certainly. This morning, I will be listening closely to everyone and reviewing a recording at the end of the meeting to make sure I've collected all of the ahs, the ums, and the pregnant pauses that might interject themselves into our meeting. And when you call upon me, Madam Toastmaster, I'll give that report thoroughly. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Almaster, and I'm sure you will give us a thorough report at the end of the day.
Certainly.
Our next job holder is grammarian, and that is Len Thornton. Len, can you tell us your job as grammarian?
Certainly, Madam Toastmaster. My job today is to listen for the more illustrious uses of our language, as well as those which don't quite conform to the rules. I will report, as always, at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Len. And our quote master today is Dr. Gerald Stevens. Dr. Stevens, can you give us the quote of the day?
I sure can, Tracy. My quotes are from a few illustrious folks out there in the world. Too many people spending money they haven't earned to buy things they don't want to impress people they don't like. As Will Rogers said that. Another illustrious individual, Ann Landers, said, anyone who believes the competitive spirit of America is dead has never been in a supermarket when a cashier opens the checkout line. That's for sure. And the most illustrious person that I know, Mr. Anonymous, said, if shopping doesn't make you happy, then you're in the wrong shop. That's what I had for you today, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Dr. Stevens. And our jester today is Mark Campos. Mark, can you give us a jest?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, good morning. Loosely related to the meeting theme, no local angle, however. A family had twin boys whose only resemblance to each other were their looks. Opposite in every way, one was an eternal optimist, the other a doom and gloom pessimist. Just to see what would happen on Christmas, their illustrious father loaded the pessimist's room with every imaginable toy and game. The optimist's room he loaded with horse manure. That night, the father passed the pessimist's room and found him sitting among his new gifts crying bitterly. "Why are you crying?" the father asked. "Because my friends will be jealous. I'll have to read all these instructions, and before I can do anything with all this stuff, I'll be constantly needing batteries, and my toys will eventually get broken," answered the pessimist. Passing the optimist's twin room, the father found him dancing for joy in the pile of horse manure. What are you so happy about?" he asked, to which the optimist replied, "There's got to be a pony in here, Madam Toastmaster."
Thank you, Mark. And our next person, job holder up is Jill Roaring. You are our timer today. Can you tell us your job as the timer?
Yes, I can. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. And please correct me if I'm wrong on this, as far as the times that I give. Time is very important in life. If we aren't on time, or if we take up too much time. And we time our speeches to try and teach us to not take up too much time and to not be illustrious for being overtime. Our table topics are 1.5 to 2.5 minutes. Speeches are generally 5 to 7, and evaluators are 2 to 3 minutes. So back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jill. And our Jester Master today is Ryan Flory. Ryan, can you give us your details of your job?
Yes, thank you, Madam Toastmaster. This morning, I will be taking on the role of Gesture and Tech Master as we began 2 meetings ago as a hybrid role. In my now self-proclaimed illustrious career, in order to fit in the word of the day, I have not done this role as its new form now. So throughout the meeting, I'm going to be paying attention to our Toastmasters and how they utilize the technology associated with Zoom to either enhance or detract from their portion of the meeting, as well as making sure that our speakers, table topic members, and those holding the spotlight for the time being are utilizing gestures to enhance or detract from their speech. And as a strange twist of irony, I'm still trying to get connected on my laptop, so I am right now on my phone having technical issues. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ryan, and I hope you can get connected. I had trouble with my internet earlier this morning also. And next is our quiz master. Eric, can you tell us what you'll be doing today in the meeting?
Yes, Madam Toastmaster, thank you. As Quizmaster today, I'll be quizzing everybody on what went on throughout the meeting. So get your listening ears ready, and I'll be giving points on all the questions today. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. And I hope we all earn lots of points at the end of the meeting. And finally, last but not least, is our illustrious general evaluator, Larry Eggert. Can you tell us what your job entails?
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Thank you for that introduction. I've already given you extra points for that illustrious introduction. I'll be evaluating the meeting, the overall tone of the meeting, and the other evaluators for the speeches, and I will report back to you at the end of the meeting, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Larry. And as promised, I'm going to tell you about some of the reasons that we should be shopping local. And first, but not least, is really, it's good for our health. It's good to get out of our houses, walk up and down Main Street, get our steps in, stop ordering for Amazon.com and having everything come back to us, but really getting out and knowing our neighbors. It's also nice to support our local farmers with attending the farm to table restaurants, kind of like the Seamus restaurant here in Lockport, or Scripps Juice Bar downtown. And with the shortage of fruits and vegetables going on right now, it really is nice to know your farmer, where your fruits and vegetables are coming from, how they're grown, what the soil conditions are, and even our local wines. We're in the middle of, off to the side of the center of New York wine country, but we are on a wine trail, and really getting to know our local wines, the stories behind them, makes them a lot more interesting and a lot more fun to drink. So really, some people might not think that wine is an essential product during a pandemic, but I can't agree with that. Come out, get to know your local wines, get to know your local vendors and farmers, and support your local health. So with that, I'm going to move on to table topics. And our table topics master today is Larry McKenzie. Can you tell us what your job entails and how table topics will proceed?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. This morning, I have the illustrious opportunity of being the table topics master. This morning, I will voluntold 3 people, and they will have an opportunity this morning to do some impromptu speaking. Remember to use the word of the day, which is illustrious. Your time would have to be within the 1.5 to 2.5 minutes. I'm getting beeped in my ear. And with that, Tom Moran had volunteered to be my very first speaker this morning for
Larry,
table topics,
I have
but he
a
took a
job
job.
this morning, Larry.
Oh, I knew that, Tom. Yeah, he was looking for anything to get out of being the #1 speaker for table topics, but he did say that Anne-Marie Lenhart would love to take his spot. So Anne-Marie, this morning, what I'd like to ask you is this: as the holiday season approaches, can you tell us about one of the things that you had received that was the most memorable gift that has either something from your past or something recent? And tell us a little bit about that gift and what it meant to you.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity, Tom. I really appreciate you volunteering me. That was great. Holiday season. Well, memorable gifts. I really would just like to change that and just talk about shopping in general. I am the most illustrious shopper. Oh my God, I shop till I drop. I really love it. And as Tracy says, it really gives you great exercise. You get out and you fight the crowds and you fight for a parking space and you talk to numerous people and you try things on, and I just love it. You can't possibly be depressed when you're shopping. At least I can't, as an illustrious shopper. I love the Walden Galleria. The only pitfalls are when I usually go, not this Christmas, but in past Christmas, I usually circle 2 or 3 times to get a parking space. Once I get a parking space, I go in, and the only, again, obstacle is that the Canadians love the Walden Galleria. And usually there's boxes all over the place. The garbage cans are overwhelmed because what they do, I hope I'm not offending anybody. Any Canadians here? Oh, you are a Canadian? The only negative thing is you have to traipse through a lot of boxes and a lot of debris. But the worst thing for me finding out this year, a number of my favorite stores are closing. I can't believe Lord and Taylor isn't going to be there anymore. Oh my God, that's my most favorite store in the world. And I live near the Eastern Hills Mall, and a while back they closed a number of stores and Macy's isn't there. So that's a little bit depressing. There's so many wonderful local places to go and shop to support our community. And as Tracy said, wine is important. And it's interesting with me, I really can't drink much. I mean, like 2 sips and I'm dead. So I always was a cheap date. But every night now when I sit down to dinner, I just have a little bit of wine, and it kind of takes off the edge and mellows everything. So after that, I can watch the boob tube and feel, kind of resigned to staying in and being stuck. So I usually buy a lot of my gifts locally also, but I see my time is up. So thank you very much, Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Anne-Marie, for sharing. This morning, with everyone and with things going on with the pandemic, I know a lot of people have turned to shopping virtually or online, and it's become quite popular even for local. A lot of our local businesses have online sites. So if in the event that you're not able to get out and do your normal shopping, you can also check it out and see if they have the ability to also order online. With that in mind, Beth Banks, Beth, this year, will this be a little bit different for you as far as holiday shopping? Will you be in person or perhaps virtually shopping? And which would you prefer?
I believe in some ways it depends on the person I'm shopping for. My children have different expectations. Vicky likes to use the Amazon wish list, and so I know what she would like, and she usually wants some technology thing that I don't sometimes even know what it is. So I would buy online. However, for many, I tend to go shopping. I have had one trip already with Vicky. We had quite an illustrious day. We went to the outlet mall. We went to let's see, where did we go? We went, different places. Another there. So we have a good time. My husband and I are going shopping in Batavia this weekend. For those of you who don't go out there venturing to shop, that is a really nice little town to shop in. There are a lot of local stores, there are a lot of franchises, but it is a good time, and it gives us an opportunity to go to the Red Osier for dinner, which we have always really enjoyed. So we do that kind of thing. I would say for my grandchildren, I definitely like to shop in person. They give me an idea sometimes of what they would like. Sometimes the idea is way over the budget, but oftentimes they will give me an idea. And so I really enjoy a little bit of both. It is fun to get things in the mail delivered, but it is also fun to go out and shop locally. Definitely get some of the local wines, whether I go to the winery or go to the wine and liquor outlet and buy it from them, either way. But I do enjoy shopping. It is a fun thing for me to do. Thank you, Master. Table Topics.
Thank you very much, Beth. As the holiday season approaches, this is the time of year when Santa checks his list to see who's naughty and see who was nice this year. Jen Zapla, could you tell us which one of the lists Santa has you on this year and why?
Oh boy. I'm sure that I make Santa's good list every year. How could I not? What could I have possibly done? Hey, Dave, I heard that. What could I have possibly done to make the naughty list? I actually go and see Santa every year, and I get my picture with him. I one time made an ex-boyfriend wait in line with me for 3 hours at the Mall of America to get our photo with Santa. Like, I'm not even kidding. So I really appreciate photos with Santa. And this year, unfortunately, I probably won't be getting one. My mom has all of my old Santa photos on her refrigerator, and she's strategically placed magnets over the faces of ex-boyfriends or cut them out or whatnot. It's really quite hilarious. So you should definitely consider getting your photo taken with me with Santa, because my mom would probably appreciate your face more than she would my ex's. I am wondering though where I should be doing some of my shopping, and I have tried to look at some local places. It's not always easy to find websites, and I prefer shopping virtually to going in person, even when it's not a pandemic, just because I don't really like crowded stores that much. I'm not one of the people out on Black Friday. I don't want to deal with other human beings. So if I'm going to go, I'd rather go on a Monday afternoon when no one else is going to be around. It is nice to touch things, so I do miss that aspect of it when I'm shopping virtually. But the illustriousness of the internet leaves quite a lot in the form of reviews and other items. I am in the market, folks, for a gift for a 12-year-old girl. So if anyone has any ideas, I am happy to take those into consideration, because I have no idea what a 12-year-old girl would want for Christmas. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Jen, for sharing. Also for this year, before I get our timers report, in the local area, they have, and I believe it's 716 e-gifts. I'll look and make sure I got that correct. But if you go online there and basically buy a $25 gift card, I believe it's through the end of this week, to shop locally, they will also give you and match your gift card as long as it's $25 or above. So you can double shop for that locally. Miss Timer, may I have a timer's report?
Yes, you may. Anne Marie came in at 2:40, which fits in the buffer of 15 seconds. Beth Banks was 2:12 and Jen Zappler was 2:04. So all qualified as far as time goes. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Timer. May we have a word report?
Everyone has used the word illustrious, illustriously. So good job.
Thank you, Samir. With that, it looks like all three of our table topics have qualified. The poll will be coming up for your vote, and I will turn the meeting back over to our Toastmaster of the day, Tracy.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. And along with the E716, I've also posted the local Shop Local Passport, which lists a lot of the local, sorry, I'm submitting my thing now. So it lists a lot of the local shops that are participating, and if you shop and spend $5 at 5 of those locations before, I believe it's December 17th, you're in the winning for, or in a drawing for Get Local gift certificates. So if you do want to shop local, please look at that passport and see if you can shop at some of those shops. Another reason to shop local is because there's unique and personalized gifts. This year, Christmas probably isn't going to be as big and festive as years past. And we don't want to give some of those run-of-the-mill gifts that everybody gives you every year. So shopping local gives us a chance to find those unique gifts to our area. Local businesses are really in tune with our community. They're our friends and neighbors. So they want to give us that personalized service, and they're supporting our community through their charitable gifts. There's kind of like Shanae's Popcorn. They developed a PB&J popcorn specifically for the local PB&J drive. And Scripps Cafe in the past has made cookies to support plays that have been going on at the Palace Theater. Local retailers are really our friends and neighbors, and what they are doing, they know matters to our community. So please vote with your dollars, shop locally. So our next portion of the meeting is going to be our speakers. And our first speaker up today is Dave Licata. And interesting enough, he's giving a speech about small business positively. Dave Licata, I'm sorry, I should be introducing the evaluators first.
It's okay. I'll jump right in. It's all right. I'm not one to be
Scrap all of
quiet.
that. My notes are goofed up.
I'll jump
Kate,
right in.
will you
Tracy.
tell us what?
Thank you
Will
so
you
much.
tell us what Dave's going to do?
Well, you know what? I am also eager to hear this speech. So you could have skipped me. That's fine. But I would love to give the project overview because this is something I don't think that we've heard from Pathways yet from anyone in our club. And this morning, I'm confirming that it's 5 to 7 minutes for our Madam Timer. And the purpose of this project, which is, if you have seen your agenda from the Dynamic Leadership, it's an L3 elective. It's called Focus on the Positive. There was an overview first that the member will keep a daily record of your moods and attitudes for a minimum of 2 weeks, noting when you feel positive or negative, your successes and efforts, and 3 things for which you are grateful. Record and evaluate any changes in your behavior and the behavior of those around you. And it goes on from there. And he will report on this. So the purpose is to practice being aware of your thoughts and feelings, as well as the impact of your responses on others. What a perfect time of year around Thanksgiving to be focusing on what to be grateful for. I am very eager to hear this speech. Thank you so much, Madam. Table Topics, take 2. Or Madam Toastmaster, sorry.
Thanks, Kate, and thanks for being patient with me for goofing that up. Our next speaker is Dave Licata, Small Businesses Positively. Dave Licata.
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our welcome guest. And I also want to acknowledge a big welcome to my 2 evaluators, Hoda and Kathy Lee. Here's the situation. I am presently president of Lockport of Lockport Sunrise Optimist Club. So my mood is always up. It's always optimistic. And it's been pretty steady in spite of everything. I'm quite pleased with the way things have gone in spite of all this pandemic thing. And every time you hit a little ditch, I just jump over it. I don't remember any troughs of despair. I feel pretty good about things these last couple weeks. And just to boost things, this year, because of the pandemic, my wife and I did not have the argument about putting up the decorations too early because I found great solace in the decorations. But let me talk a little bit about small business. And when we say small business in Lockport, you know we mean local. And it's important that we support our brother and sister Lockportians and people in the town of Lockport, Orleans County, and the Wine Trail. And we will hit on these notes as I go through the speech. But my situation is small businesses in my DNA. My last name is Licata. For those that are familiar with Lockport, over the last 60 years, there's been many Licata small businesses. My father and his brothers were very focused and very aggressive, and they didn't shy away from starting various businesses. But it all got started when my father, while he was still in high school, came into possession of Licata Cigar Store. His brother Joe had returned from the Marines, World War II. My dad said, you watch the store during the day, and when I get out of school, I'll watch the store during the night. And the cigar store, when you're in 6th grade, is a magical place because we had root beer in the frosted mugs, and we had all kinds of periodicals, and we had all, this is going to really date me. We had tobacco products. Can you imagine that? But I pestered my dad. I said, I want to work in the cigar store. He said, you're in 6th grade. I said, I don't care. I want to work in the cigar store. So I was put to work, and I stayed there forever, middle school and high school and junior college. But it gave me the opportunity to learn how to deal with customers. It gave me the opportunity to learn how to be the soda jerk. I stood behind the soda bar. I waited on people and the customers. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. We were across from Harrison's main plant. So we both had the blue collar and the white collar customers, and I'm in 6th grade and I'm learning how to deal with that. And that is really a positive experience. My first big boy job out of high school, or excuse me, my first big boy job out of college is I worked at WJJL Radio in Niagara Falls. I was an account executive, which is a real fancy term for salesman. So I would call on all these local businesses that couldn't afford an advertising agency, which means they were small businesses and they were local businesses. And if you want to learn about other people's business, sell them a flight of advertising on the radio, but you're responsible for writing that commercial, for writing the ad copy. And that's the quickest way possible to learn about somebody else's business and what's entailed. So I learned a lot there. And most of that experience was incredibly positive, and it was a lot of fun working at WJJL. And I could do, I don't know, at least 6 speeches about WJJL, but we'll get back on course now. After my radio career, I decided to go to work for Licata Brothers Wholesale. That was still a small business, and oh my dear, it was definitely local. We sold restaurant supplies in Niagara County, Orleans, and some in Erie County. We also took care of every mom and pop corner store, and we sold them tobacco products, candy, and sundry items. But we used to all get dressed up in our blazers, our ties, and we would drive to these locations and we would call on the people and take their orders. We didn't do anything by phone back then. So once again, I'm learning about how important small business is. I'm learning how positive is from the point of view that when small businesses hire people, nobody got rich working at Licata Brothers, but you learned. And Licata Brothers became kind of a junior college for anybody that wanted to learn how to handle stock, deliver stock, but more importantly, make sales calls and learn how to be a little bit persuasive. And the trick was just keep listening to your customers, find out what they want, and sell it to them. Well, the warehouse went through some changes and we got morphed down. And at the end, I came in, I was the owner of Licata Office Coffee and Vending. Once again, I'm reliant on small, local businesses. And it was positive. There were some moments where it could be a little bit down, but it was another wonderful, positive experience. And what I was looking for locations that would use the coffee, maybe have enough employees to warrant installing a glass front vendor for candy and snacks. And then the big payoff was if they were large enough to use a soft drink vendor. So we would have cans and bottles of pop for them. And then the bonus was if I could get the spring water in there, because the margin on spring water was real good. Then I sold that business and I retired, or so I thought. But in my early retirement, I said, I want to kick it one more time. I want to see what I can do. I want to try something else. And God bless Margot Sue Bittner and AM Lockport Toastmasters, because if it wasn't for AM Lockport, I wouldn't know Margot. So I did have a 4th act in my career. But the irony is, I'm right back behind the bar, just like I was at the cigar store. But I'm waiting on folks. So it was positive, so positive. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you for giving us that rundown on local businesses. And Jackie, I think is showing a picture of the Lakota picture of that, Dave.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's amazing. That's a Whalen, by the way. And the little tiny gentleman reading the newspaper there is my mother's father, my grandpa Billis Conlon. Joe Whalen knew Billis real well, and he snuck him in. Thank you. That's amazing. I got a little.
Awesome. Thank you, Jackie.
A little addendum.
And, and just to top that off, Joe Whalen's a local artist, painting a picture of a local establishment in our community. Next up is Dave's son, Mike Licata, evaluating Phil Russell. Mike, can you give us a countdown of what Phil will be talking about today?
Thought I was evaluating Moklis.
And you know what? I think Moklis. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm goofing that up. I'm switching my pages around. So yes, you will be evaluating Moklis.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests this morning. Moklis is speaking out of the dynamic leadership track with Pathways. He's doing the elective connecting with storytelling. His purpose this morning will be practice using a story within a speech or give a speech that is a story. Madam Timer, the time is 5 to 7 minutes.
Thank you, Mike.
You have a speech now, correct?
Yes, I do. So Moklis is a world leader who started in his native Bangladesh. He later moved to Pakistan, and now his journey is going to end with English poems. Moklis will be, speech title is My Poetic Journey or Adventure. Moklis.
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. My poetic journey, or adventures as some may call it. How many of you like poems or music or lyrical music? Poems are very touching words that all of us get affected emotionally, romantically, and spiritually. My journey started, of course, as Tracy just mentioned, in Bangladesh. With Bengali as my native tongue, I first started listening to music. Then I started reading some of the poetry. And soon I was jetted off to Pakistan. Pakistan has Urdu as the national language or the main culture, which is very similar to Hindi of India. So I started listening to beautiful Indian music or Urdu music, as well as a very powerful tool of poetry called ghazal. Some of you may, it's all about romance, but ghazal has even a higher power of romance with God, means you love God, love of God is the bigger part. And I enjoyed that for many years, both reading a little bit, listening a lot, never writing. And then I jetted off to, of course, North America, Canada, and USA, where the main culture is English. Like before, I started enjoying the music without understanding a single word. I could not make out the words, but I could go with the flow of the music. After about 10, 15 years, 1980s, I started thinking a little bit. And some strange encounter with somebody actually from this local area, Joe Carnival. He was the president of the World Bank at the time. He was my guest, and he shared a poem he wrote about my friend, Joe Campbell. Barber Carnival was the name, if I misquoted. Barber Carnival. He was a congressman from Batavia for over 30 years, then rose to become the president of the World Bank. I thought if he can write a poem, I should try too. And I started my journey into English poem. First, they were so bad, people told me to start writing in Bengali because none of your poem made any sense because I didn't understand all the intricate details. In Toledo, Ohio, I was fortunate to meet about a dozen group of writers. And one of the best one was at the community college called Owens Community College. I started going there once a week for almost 2 years. And lo and behold, I started publishing my first poem in their magazine. So I became a published poet, if you may say. Not necessarily very illustrious or very great, but my fellow writers kind of was nice and supported me, so I enjoyed it. In the 1990s, I wrote more about my family, Samir, his mom, my dad, my brothers, siblings, everything that I could think of, I knew the most, I started writing. I would say they were mediocre. They were not illustrious. They were not published anywhere. So that journey continued until I became a very busy manager. I had to manage a project in both USA and also in Singapore. That's why you see the pictures in Singapore. 3 years Singapore was the dream come true job, the culture. It is an amazing place. Someday I'll give a talk on Singapore, at least my experiences. From Toledo, I went to PepsiCo. I started some New York City writers group, but it didn't gel with me. And then I retired. I came to Niagara Falls. Voila! I was so excited to discover 3 writing groups in Niagara Falls Public Library. And the one I loved the most is some of you have seen her join this meeting. Her name is Cecilia Driscoll. She is, I consider, poet laureate of the Niagara Falls Public Library. And she taught from A to Z everything about poetry and poem. I don't know if I've reached my best yet, but I'm going to share one poem that I recently wrote, and you be the judge. Titled, I Am Not Alone. I am not alone. I am part of the whole. The whole is complete when I am in it. I am nothing but part of everything. Everything includes all of us in it. Stay strong, but don't compare. Destiny makes us greater or lesser. Be happy, keep happy forever. You are an important star of the universe. Keep hope, don't quit ever. Embrace life's blessings forever. Accept struggles until it's over. Life consists of twists and turns forever. Every time you fall, get up and stand tall. Each fall moves you closer to success. This is nature's process. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Muklas, for sharing that with us. It was wonderful. And our next evaluator is Thomas Helwig, who will be evaluating Phil Russell. And I think, yes, Phil Russell is still on the line. So Eric, or Thomas, can you tell us what Phil will be talking about today?
I sure would. The best part about today, it's my second day back at work. And as you can see, I'm in a live construction site. I pulled myself away for this second half of the meeting. And I'm excited to listen to Phil because Phil is always a good storyteller. And today he's going to be telling a story about developing a communications plan. So as a person who's communicated before and actually done really well as a DTM, I can't wait to hear how he develops a communication plan. It's 5 to 7 minutes for the timer. And I believe the title is Now It Starts. I might be close on that one. I didn't write it down. But Phil Russell. Madam Toastmaster.
Awesome. Awesome, Thomas. Great job. I'm not too sure if it's Now It Starts or a work in progress, but Phil can tell us more about it. Phil, you're always a work in progress. So fill us in on what you're talking about.
Pathways. Pathways. It is not a sprint. It is not a marathon. What Pathways is, it's an exploration into the future, a journey into the unknown. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest, Pathways is a new concept to me and to you, to all of us. At first, I was not a fan at all, but I tried it. I tried it to learn. Let me tell you, it was very hard at first. This Pathways is not a destination. It's a journey. When this lockdown hit, the lockdown made it harder. It gave us much more frustration. How are we going to do what we're doing? But I learned to accept new ideas. New ideas. I learned how to use a phone with Zoom. The mouse. I learned how to use a computer with Zoom. I used both to learn how to do Pathways. A little story. The computer is exponentially better than the phone. You get more visuals. You can see all the things along the bottom, right across the bottom, are easier to use. You can click on them, move around. It's terrific. That's how I learned how to use the computer better than I have in the past. I learned it at business and through just some other things, but not how I learn it now through Pathways. So what's my plan? First off, this plan goes into effect after this speech. Why? I'm following Pathways instructions. I don't understand what. They said, if you already started this plan and started working on it, you can't give the speech. Okay, so I will start after the speech. Then once the plan is instituted, I will then give you an update on how it went. I am encouraging in this plan, the first step is to encourage Toastmasters to embrace, number one, pathways. Number two, technology. Embrace it. Look to new horizons. Find out what's out there. What I expect is for all the Toastmasters to take the road less traveled. Learn new ideas. Learn new ideas. I dare all Toastmasters to go where no one has gone before. Madam Toastmaster. Stupid.
Thank you, Phil. Madam Timer, can we have a timer's report?
Was I mooted through this whole thing?
Yes, we can have a timer's report. My internet went out once or twice in there, but it got back on in between, so I survived. Dave Licata did not qualify at 8:02. Nicholas qualified at 7:08, and Phil Russell at 4:52. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. So that leaves us eligible to vote for Muklas and for Phil, if I have that correct. And so please submit your ballots. And I'm going to talk just a little bit more about how shopping local enhances our local economy. So we all know that local businesses really are the driver, the economic driver of our economy, and every dollar that we spend enhances our future. It also kind of boosts our environmental sustainability since we're using less packaging and there's a lot less transportation used in it. It also creates local jobs for our friends and neighbors. And we all know that small businesses are the future of our community. There's a lot of studies that show that for every $100 spent in the local community, $68 actually stays right here. I'm not too sure where the other $32 go. I'm sure it's in taxes or something like that. But $68 really does stay in your community. And that's twice as much as if you spend those same dollars in a chain store. And my personal favorite for shopping local is it increases our real estate values. If we have vibrant local neighborhoods, that means your area is more desirable and our community is worth a lot more. So at this point, I'm going to introduce our general evaluator and he can take over the rest of the meeting. Larry Agert, our illustrious general evaluator.
I've been called a lot of things in my career. I guess illustrious is one of the better ones. All right. Well, I wasn't quite prepared for that, but we will jump right in. I know Tracy has to leave, probably go to work at some point here. So I guess we will start with our evaluators. Is that the next step? So evaluating Dave Licata is Kate Banks.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. One of our illustrious members of the city of Lockport doing so many things good, that's you. And then I think of our illustrious Dave, one of our founding members, and I was very eager to evaluate him. I do set up the schedule, so I guess I could pull my own strings on that, and I can evaluate David today. And I think that I was thrown a bit by the direction you went. Although, as always, you excel at your background and setting up your lighting and setting up your sound. Your voice was fantastic. Your hand gestures were wonderful. You're such a master storyteller, and you took us on a journey this morning, as you often do. I love how you followed the theme today. You clearly have a lifetime of supporting local, of being local, and could share so much about your journey with us in that vein. And I feel like even though I've been a member of this club for 13 years now, and I have heard so much about Licata Brothers Wholesale, and I do remember in my earliest years some of the shop and the coffee sales that you did, I still love hearing those stories. And you gave us a kind of another angle on that. And I loved hearing that you would work with the Harrison Radiator staff that came out after, you know, they're done with their shift at the plant, or maybe on their way in to the plant, because you talked about staying optimistic. So that tied back to the theme. That's what threw me a little bit. I think that because the objective was to keep a journal and follow your mood and see how your interactions with others were affected by your mood, or how your mood affects the interactions, was something that I was looking for. You touched on it briefly when you mentioned that your wife, Annette, was fine with you decorating early this year, because that is uplifting your spirits like it is for so many of us. I see so many more homes decorated early, and it is fun to see this year. So you started touching on that kind of gratitude, and then you touched again on the optimism and your spirit of having to stay positive as a local salesperson in an entrepreneurial way from even early childhood. So you touched on that, but to challenge yourself, keep that journal. You didn't have to talk about it, so maybe you did and we just didn't hear about it, but keep that journal. That's my challenge for you. And of course, make time. But we love hearing your voice and seeing your face every Thursday. So you just still won't qualify. Thanks so much, David. It was great to hear you again. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Kate. I was busy making notes. Sorry about that. Our second evaluator evaluating Moclis is Mike Licata. Mike.
Good morning, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, our guests, and especially Moclis. Moclis, I think you did a great job this morning of giving us another part of your story. You kind of glossed over how you ended up in Niagara Falls through your experiences trying to get published as a poet. I think it's very admirable that you took so much time and effort to adapt to whichever culture you're in. I am very much looking forward to your speech about your experience in Singapore. I also think you did a really solid job of telling us your life story through different experiences. I think you do a great job in your ability into offering up different parts of your personality through your speeches, and I think that you did a great job with this story. Some of the suggestions I would offer is that, I know it's a little bit hard to do it in front of a laptop or a computer, but it would really kind of enhance the story if you were able to stand up. It would lend yourself to better gestures, or if you maybe moved your camera away from your body a little bit. I think that definitely would have done a better job of, through your gestures and your vocal variety and things like that, done a better job of enhancing the speech. But I don't have to give you a lot of credit. I think you did a good job with the pictures in your background. You're always ahead of most of us fellow Toastmasters in terms of the way to use technology. And I also had to give you a lot of credit as well for your strong finish in your speech today. I think that finishing with a poem really hit home your theme and your ideas of the speech. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thanks, Mike. And our final evaluator, certainly last but not least, is Tom Helwig, and he'll be evaluating Phil Russell. Mr. Helwig. Heldwine, I'm sorry, Heldwine.
That's all right. That's all right, Mr. General Evaluator. Held wine. We have a winery person in the club, so holding a wine bottle should be, I just held wine. Hero of the wine, by the way, for German. My evaluation of Phil today is going to be semi-themed. It's not really going to follow the sandwich approach. This speech of his, you could tell he put some effort into organizing two very good backgrounds that both tied into his speech. He put those elements into his speech. But I think that the second picture gave me my real clear understanding of how to talk to him about his speech today and how I felt about it. The little galaxy view at the end made me think of the end of Empire Strikes Back. Han is defeated and frozen in carbonite. Luke Skywalker is missing a hand. The rebels are scattered and destroyed. Phil, that's where you are in your journey. You are learning the technical things. You're working on the computer. You're working with the phone. But this speech is you need to go back and look at it. There's so many things that you didn't have that have been in so many of your speeches before that I think the technology took away from. You're usually very engaging. You get us right into a story, whether it be about being a coach or whether it was financial planning or doing something else that you've done. The story has a start, beginning, and end. This seemed to meander a little bit. And the long pause at the end, trying to transfer slides, that was definitely a little bit distracting. The context is what you did well at. The idea of the speech. You had pathways. You had technology. And you knew that you needed to start on something new. And I highly recommend that anyone who hasn't, please do start pathways. Because as you can see, yeah, you may end up being defeated. It may look like Darth Vader. It may be an undefeatable enemy. The Empire is coming for you. But the hero's struggle is to overcome these difficulties. Even though you fail, or you have a setback, or you don't do well at it, learn from it, become stronger, grow. So even though you're a little off today, Phil, I have to give you great amounts of credit for trying and great amounts of credit of sticking in there and getting started with pathways. Everything in your speech tied into your visuals. You did have some good speech variation. And overall, I'm going to give you a success. You got the message out and you did make the attempt, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mr. Heldwine. Could we have a timer's report on our evaluators?
Yes, we may, Mr. General Evaluator. Katie came in at 2:58. Mike Licata came at 2:12. Tom Heldwine came in at 3 minutes on the dot. Thank you there.
So all three qualified. If you could take a minute, as you see on your screen, you can vote for who you think was the best evaluator, Kate Banks, Mike Licata, or Tom Heldwine. And I will cast my vote and submit it. All right. So I guess I'll start with my evaluation of the evaluators. I made some notes. Tom Heldwine did a great job. He announced that he wasn't going to follow the sandwich approach, which he did not, which wasn't a bad thing because he essentially listed kind of the good and the bad and in somewhat of a random order, but I thought all the points were good. And I think the best part of the evaluation was the way he ended positive. You can certainly offer suggestions for improvement, but that positive ending always makes you want to come back for more. So Thomas did a great job with that. Mike Licata used a sandwich approach, which is what I always do when I evaluate, listed the positives at the beginning, suggestions for improvement, and they were good suggestions too, maybe standing up a little bit and maybe a wider view would have been better for that speech. But again, ended with a compliment on technology and his poem writing abilities for Moklis, which I thought was an excellent way to end. Kate Banks, she used loved about 7 times. She loved Dave's this and loved Dave's that, which is good. I think it's important to, again, to start with the positive, and I think you did, not only with the way you offered the evaluation, but also you delivered it with a smile. I think that's a big part of the evaluation, is always that positive tone, and I think you did that very well. I like the way you eased into suggestions. You kind of slid into, maybe you want to do this a little better, talked about the journal, which was one thing that I noticed as well. And again, positive ending was outstanding. So I think all 3 evaluators did a great job. So great job to each one of you. Tracy, do you want me to start with reports?
Tracy had to go to work.
Oh, she did go to work. Okay. All right. Well, let's start with the overall tone of the meeting, even though Tracy's not here. She was very efficient. She sent out the notifications for roles fairly quickly after the last meeting. She started on time. I liked her Christmas tree background. That was very festive. Good opening monologue, short but effective. And she jumped in a few times during the meeting to give information on the importance of shopping local, which I thought was excellent. She did have a little bit of trouble struggling introducing a couple of the speakers and evaluators. And she did have a little technology problem, which wasn't her fault, but I don't know if anybody else noticed some of her technology. Her internet connection must have been a little slow because she was having some trouble with that. But overall, good positive introductions of each of the speakers and the evaluators. So overall, I grade it an illustrious meeting. Just some side notes here. Again, I'm one for randomness, and this is kind of way off in the randomness area. But I did notice as I looked over the screen here that Jen does not have a flower behind her anymore. I kind of missed that dying flower that she had there.
Tom killed it.
Oh. Dr. Stevens also changed his background. He gave a little different angle on the same room, which was good. And Sylvia, I miss your clock. There's no clock in the background. Again, very random. I apologize. All right, let's do job holders. Let me get my list out here. I'll leave Wordmaster till the end. So, Master, Mr. Tom Moran, could you give us a report, please?
I'm accustomed to being introduced as the illustrious Master, but I suppose you missed that in the early notes. I've got a disappointing Master report this morning. Very few people used ahs, ums, or pregnant pauses. I caught Anne Marie in 3 of them, and it was mostly when she was making her transition from one thought to another. We tend to use those spots to insert an ah or an instead of a pause. I noticed it with Eric. Eric, wake up. Okay. I noticed it with you when you were going from one thing to another. You didn't use an ah or an but you did like a no, or you did something that I normally do. You repeat something a couple of times because you're adjusting, you're going from one thing to another. So all in all, we did an excellent job with these ahs and ums. Now, I've been to, like I say, these meetings with the high school students, and we get a lot of them initially. And I think part of the credit goes to this, just practicing our public speaking. We learn not to use those ahs and ums, and we learn to hear them when we say them. So I'm sorry to disappoint everyone with this report, but there's very few ahs and ums today. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mr. Illustrious Master. Just trying to get that in there. Quite frankly, in the future, I'd like to be referred to as the Illustrious General Evaluator, since we're throwing titles out there. Our next report is from our, let me guess, Quizmaster, Eric Snyder. Mr. Snyder.
I thought I was going to be the illustrious Quizmaster, but all right. All right, first one. What favorite store closed that Anne Marie liked?
Lord and Taylor.
Lord and Taylor.
What club is David the president of?
Optimist.
Optimist.
Maybe our club.
Sunrise.
Sunrise. Optimist.
Nice.
Sunrise.
And where did David work through middle school to junior year of college?
The cigar store.
Tyler Brothers.
Cigar and sales.
And what radio station did he work for?
WJJL 1440 on your AM dial.
The silver sound of the 70s.
With Jimmy Thompson every morning giving the obituary.
Jimmy Thompson with the news. Dorothy Shank with the women's program. Hello, everybody.
True Les Nessman, huh?
Oh, yeah, we had Les Nesbitt a couple times. Too many Johnny Fevers. Oh, I can't wait to do my JJL speeches now. Holy cow.
I'm ready.
All right, one more. What quote from what TV show did Phil reference at the end of his speech?
Star Trek?
Star Trek.
That's my report, Mr. Illustrious General Evaluator.
Thank you. I enjoy the title. Unfortunately, Eric, there can only be so many illustrious people in the meeting, so we're limited to 3. So.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's see who is left. Gesture Master, Mr. Flore.
Good morning, Mr. General Evaluator. I appreciate the opportunity today to go through some general overview from the meeting from a tech standpoint. I want to appoint the gesture master today as Phil Russell, with Dave Licata coming in a close second. Both of you guys did well throughout your speech, despite the limitation of the 2-inch cube, to get gestures across, to be actively engaged with your bodies in the speech. And Dave, I like the fact that you have the curtain behind you. It gives it a little bit more of a stage presence. Moklis, I think you did a really good job with the digital background in order to make sure that we were brought into the story with some, what it amounts to a prop, right? Because it's a picture that brings us into the story with you. And then Phil, you got back, you had the, I was going to say mic, but mouse is the right word, and the phone in the other hand, and you had both of them, you were holding them up, you used them at different points throughout to prove and emphasize things you were saying. So I think overall our speakers did well to engage from a digital media platform and to, again, adapt to that 2-inch cube. Things I would like to see a little bit more of, just making sure that we're muted when we're supposed to be not muted, when we want to be engaging and talking. There's a couple times, especially, I notice it more when I'm in speaker view. Today I was in the layout view, so I'm seeing 30 small little boxes, but when the screens bounce around a lot with the yellow blocks, it can be distracting if you're the speaker and you're seeing new people jump on your screen, if you're presenting at the time, et cetera. So just make sure that we're on top of our mute buttons. And then video is another thing. if you're sitting there and you're occasionally moving back and forth because it's uncomfortable to sit still for an hour and a half, it's completely understandable. But if you're getting up and down, if you're rotating around and working over here and then coming back and working over here, just do us the favor of, quick turn on and off of the video screen, just to make sure that we're not being distracted, again, being pulled away from the main focus at the time. Finally, I think one thing that I don't think can be helped, but I noticed today because I was focusing on it, is people with glasses. If you don't have the correct lighting in the room, I'm able to read off your glasses. And it's just bright light right in the center of your glasses. And so it's a very interesting thing. Just something to keep in mind, maybe work on the lighting in your rooms, et cetera, just so that it's not distracted. But again, I don't know what can be done about that. It's just an interesting thing that I noticed while I was focusing on it today. So, Mr. General Evaluator, that is the summary of my Zoom tech and gesture report. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Flory. Excellent.
Illustrious General Evaluator.
Good. Thank you. I had marked the minus by your name, so you got that minus removed. Thank you. Our grammarian today was Mr. Leonard Thornton. So, Mr. Thornton, tell us the good and bad about grammar today.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest. Not a whole lot of noteworthy phrases today, but I did catch a few. Anne-Marie used the term most favorite. Seemed a little awkward. I'm not sure if those two words follow together very well. Larry, Mackenzie, all three of our table topics have qualified. I think you needed to put the word contestants in there somewhere. Jen used the 5-syllable word, always a good thing, illustriousness, and also take into consideration. That was nice. Dave used the big payoff. That was a colorful turn. In general, I noticed a lot of people using like where they should have used as, and this is a tricky thing. I'll post a link to the Grammarly definition and examples on that. Basically, you use like when you're doing a comparison, you use as whenever you can substitute the words the way. So it's a little bit different. They're different parts of speech, and one just sounds better than the other in a lot of cases, but we should be conscious of that. So I'll just post to everybody the link to that. If you could just take a minute to look at that, and maybe we can refine our speech even more. Your illustriousness, Mr. General Evaluator.
Illustriousness, even better. Better by the minute. And last but not least is our word master. And I saved you for the end, Samir, to give everybody a chance to use the word. So how did we do today?
I think everyone did extremely well. Len used it initially. Tracy used it numerous times. Gerald, Thomas Moran, Ryan, you, Larry, have used it innumerable times. Anne-Marie used it, Beth, Jen. I may have missed Dave and Phil using it in their speeches. Melkos did. Larry, Kate, Thomas, and Eric all used it. So great job, everyone. And thank you for being so illustrious in your use of the word itself.
Thanks, Samir. That was actually a pretty good word. Everybody seemed to really flock to it.
Yeah.
Especially when you put it before your name. Everybody wants to be called illustrious. All right, I think I've got all the job holders. I think we've done everything that I can do as the general evaluator. Again, I thought the meeting went very well. I enjoyed it. Usually I can always tell it's a good meeting if you can, when you walk away from the meeting, if you have a really good positive attitude, and I think we did that today. Everybody did a great job. So I will turn it back over to our president, Mr. Eric Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Illustrious General Evaluator, as I see your title on your screen. All right, on to our winners today. Our best table topic speaker today is Jen Zapla is our table topics winner today. Our best evaluator is Thomas Heldwine. And our best speaker of the day is Mokla's Ramen is our best speaker of the day. Fellow Toastmasters, are there any final announcements before I adjourn the meeting?
Let's hear from
Yes.
our guest.
Well, okay, Larry, go first.
Just a reminder that there is officer makeup on the 8th of December. If you weren't able to go for officer training, there is a makeup, and I believe Eric will be posting or sending out an email with that information for any of the officers that weren't able to make training for the last session. Mr.
Thank you,
President.
Larry. I appreciate that. I actually did send an email out to both Ryan and Samir.
Called out.
I sent it about 2 days ago, actually. I sent it 2 days ago.
Got it.
You got it? Also, it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to our newest Toastmaster of our club, David Jones. David Jones is our newest member of AM Lockport, so we would like to officially welcome him to our club. David, would you like to offer any words?
I just want to say thank you. I've enjoyed y'all's club. It's really helped us at our club at Queen City, and I'm looking forward to what a dual membership will do for me. And until we meet back in person, we'll see what happens then. Thanks.
Thank you, David. Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
All right. Our Toastmaster for next week is Beth Banks. And Beth will have a theme, I hope, shortly, or do you have a theme already?
I have a theme already.
All right, what's our theme?
Our theme is red. And that's all I'm going to say. It's red. You will figure out how flexible you can be with just red.
All right. We'll look forward to that theme next week. Tonight's social hour is 7 p.m. and Larry will have that up in the chat in a few seconds. And with that, I will bid you all a happy Thursday. Have a good weekend. We'll see you all bright and early next Thursday morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, David Licata, while you're still on there, is there any chance that in your next speech you will appear from behind the curtains? I could see the
No,
curtains
I am
coming
always
apart.
the man behind, I'm always the fella behind the curtain. And
I
many
was
people
thinking-
have, with the advent of that musical Wicked, they've all recommended that I play the wizard. So,
Oh, I was thinking of some vaudevillian routine, where you come and
well,
you
yeah,
got a little,
exactly. I'm
little
glad you
skimmer
brought
hat
that
on.
up because when I stand up in front of the curtain, it's my homage to both Jack Benny and George Burns.
Ah, okay.
Oh, and Jen Zappa's going, who? What? Where? Huh?
Well, it's nicely done this morning, Dave.
Thank you. How you feeling, Tommy?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Attaboy.
I'm on a little break now.